Hello, I'm Louise Ross and the author of Women Who Walk, How 20 Women from 16 Countries Came to Live in Portugal, and the sequel, The Winding Road to Portugal, 20 Men from 11 Countries Share Their Stories. And these are mini memoirs, the stories of 20 women and 20 men who moved abroad, country to country, sometimes independently and sometimes with family, and all en route to a life in Portugal, but not necessarily that Portugal was their final destination. And today I've invited one of the interviewees from The Winding Road to Portugal, one of the men, to read an excerpt from his story. But first, let me introduce you to Andy, who's on the other side of the screen here. Andy is part of a growing demographic of men who accompany their wife or partner abroad for her work. And even though there are increasing numbers of men relocating as the supportive spouse or the accompanying partner, this role is still a fairly unique one. So thanks, Andy. Thank you for accepting my invitation to do this live interview. And now I'm going to hand it over to you to read your excerpt, and then we're going to chat a little bit.
All right. So first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation. I have the book here, and I did some marks here, so I hope the read will be pleasant to you.
Thanks, Andy.
I was never reading a book to any audience before. All right. Poland was still under Soviet and communist rule in 1981 when I was born, and for about a year the country was under martial law. This is when the authoritarian communist government took drastic measures to restrict the lives of Polish people in an attempt to crush Solidarity, an underground opposition movement led by Lech Wałęsa. It was a difficult time. My parents don't talk about that often. When I was a kid living under communism, it was still a time when if you knew someone, you could maybe get some good meat for your family. Even though my father worked in the city hall, where he knew people, sometimes even he would have to stand in line for hours to get something from the store. Oranges were super special. We only had them at Christmas, and even then they were hard to come by. When I had my first banana at 10, I knew what it was because of American cartoons. One of the Disney characters slips on a banana peel. We had plenty of pork. I grew up eating too much pork, actually. In the villages, many people had a... That sounds so funny, reading it now. Sorry for interruption, but I didn't read it after I was interviewed. Okay, coming back to the book, sorry. We had plenty of pork. I grew up eating too much pork, actually. In the villages, many people had a barn where they had one pig that they killed for Christmas or Easter. The meat would last a couple of months. My parents would prepare their own smoked sausages, and they were delicious. I loved those sausages. I'm not a meaty person now, but back then everyone wanted to eat pork. Okay, where we are. I was offered a place to study math at Krakow University of Technology or journalism at Wyszyński University in Warsaw. I chose journalism. That was followed by a job in television. I was with a TV agency responsible for editing news videos and delivering them to news groups like Reuters, Associated Press, and Polish media. The agency's TV station had the best organized news channel. Whatever happened, we were there. So when there was breaking news in our country, it was me and the team I worked with that delivered the video content to, say, CNN. Eventually, I was managing editor. I married Miralina in 2011, when I was 30, she grew up in Germany and then moved back to Poland, where she started her career in a call center, working her way up. A German bank, one of the call center's clients, hired her directly as a liaison to manage the Polish center. Back then, companies like the German bank were outsourcing to Poland. Now, a lot of outsourcing comes to Portugal, where it's cheaper for businesses to operate. Into our 30s, we would been working hard for many years. We felt as though we needed something different. The idea of a move to Southern Europe appealed, and initially we considered Spain, followed by Gran Canaria, where we have friends and their families. In 2014, we decided to quit our jobs and live on our savings for a while. We went back to Asia, where we took some time to think about what next. My wife and I make this decision together. We put our relationship first, which is why I think we manage times of change and transition well. Okay, where we are now. In January 2018, when my wife was 33 and I was 36, we made the move to Portugal. Mihalina works for a market research company with an office in Lisbon. She's now responsible for hiring interns and the onboarding and engagement processes, as well as ensuring effective collaboration between global and regional teams. All right. Is that all?
I think that is. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, that is.
Nice little sense of your story, where you're from, the significant career you had before you and Mike had decided to kind of switch roles and give the attention to her career while you accompanied her here. And I just want to ask, what was that like for you? Because as you read that excerpt, we do get a sense of the significant career you did have. And also the important comment that you make that you put your relationship first as a couple. The relationship comes first. So how did you make that decision, and what was that like for you to put your career on hold for the time that you're here in Portugal focusing on Micah's career?
Well, I think considering our lives and my life as one thing, if I can say so, the career is only a part of it, which is a very important thing because it brings money, right? It helps you make better living in terms of, you can buy something, but you can buy, for some people that would be a new iPhone or something like that. I was never like that, but I have some things that I like to have, like a new bicycle, for example. So I think the career is only a part of it. So when we were thinking about it, there was a discussion of considering the quality of life in general more than the career. And also before, back in Poland, in Warsaw, there was a time when she was jobless, I was working, so I was basically, it was only me who was bringing money to our relationship, and we just didn't care about that so much, who earns, because we were always considering ourselves as one thing, one family, one unit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't that hard, to be honest. That wasn't that hard. That was just, that was more exciting than hard. It wasn't difficult. It wasn't easy. It was difficult somehow, because there are a lot of things coming to your mind. There are some doubts, and you have your friends and family who are like, "Why are you going? Where are you going?" We know that there's more sun in the south of Europe, but come on, you have everything. You have us. We can meet more often. We can, you know, we can hang out sometimes and all of that. So it was difficult because of other reasons than because of the career as well. And also I was, you know, I made my story in, I mean, I was already happy with what I've earned, what I experienced in my career. So I was more, you know, interested into experiencing something different, not only, you know, being a successful person, if you can call it like that. Also, another thing is who is a successful person, right? So
Right.
you know,
What defines success? Yes.
well, yeah, exactly. So you know, I'm using these phrases or words that are, you know, very common in our reality now. You know, like I remember I was viewed by position here in Portugal, and one of the steps within this conversation, within this recruitment process, was define success, or what would you do to be successful? And I was like, yes, but what is success, right? What do you mean to talk about? So yeah, there's always more behind things that we think we already know what they are, I think. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks for explaining that, Andy. I mean, again, the role you've taken on is pretty unique, but one of the things that I mentioned to you when we were emailing, getting this set up, is that I wanted to just bring attention to the fact that I think this role of supporting spouse, supporting partner, men taking on that role is about to get a whole lot more attention, because the first, second gentleman, once Kamala Harris is voted in as Vice President of the United States, is going to bring a lot of attention to the fact that there is a little bit of a swap in the partner dynamic as more men take on the role that you've taken on. So I'm going to end it there. I think this is just a really nice little excerpt from your story that gives us a little sense of the uniqueness of your journey and the role that you've taken on coming to Portugal. You're in the Algarve, actually. You're in the southern part of Portugal, and I'm just outside of Lisbon, where you used to live. In fact, we lived sort of close in the same neighbourhood. But anyway, thank you so much, Andy. It was great to see you and great to chat. And if anyone's interested in reading a little bit more about Andy, it's in the Winding Road to Portugal. 20 men from 11 countries share their story. Thank you so much for watching.